Hello and thanks for staying with us. Welcome to Political Platform on Raypower Radio and Africa Independent Television, AIT. My name is Amechi Anapwe. The countdown to Nigeria's next round of governorship and state houses of assembly elections has entered another crucial phase, with political parties submitting and uploading the names of their candidates for the offices of governors, deputy governor, and members of the state houses of assembly to the portal of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. This development marks the end of one of the most contentious stages of the electoral process, characterized by party primaries, internal disputes, court cases, allegations of imposition of candidates, and intense political negotiations. The publication of candidates' names by INEC, which will come next week, is expected to trigger another round of political activities, including the verification of credentials, possible substitutions where permitted by law and by guidelines, and pre-election litigation by aggrieved aspirants and political parties. However, questions remain. Questions always remain when it concerns our political system. Have the political parties complied with the provisions of the Electoral Act and their respective constitutions in producing these candidates? Will the courts once again become the battleground for resolving disputes arising from party primaries? A lot of cases are already before the courts. And so on this edition of Political Platform, we examine the significance of the submission of candidates' names to INEC, the legal implications of the process, the Commission's responsibilities in verifying and publishing the candidates, and what Nigerians should expect as the electioneering campaign gathers momentum. Recall that a few weeks ago, the parties submitted and uploaded the names of their presidential and vice presidential candidates, as well as those of the National Assembly positions, the Senate and the House of Representatives, that have been concluded, even though INEC was forced to extend the deadline because some parties were unable to meet the deadline. It speaks volumes about the readiness of these parties going into the next election. So what is going on now is that the names of the governorships, deputy governorship, and state assemblies candidates are being uploaded. Joining us to provide insights to these critical issues is our guest, Barrister Ken Asogwa, serves as the National Publicity Secretary of Labour Party. Before he will meet with us, we will examine the emergence of a new president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Oyinkan Shola Badejo Okusanya, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, as the 33rd president of the association. She won the NBA presidential election conducted just last weekend, defeating her two opponents after securing 47% of the over 26,000 valid vote cast. Her victory came despite controversies that preceded the election, including concerns over electronic voting process and caused by some members to postpone the poll. The NBA National Executive Council ultimately resolved that the election should proceed as scheduled despite the glitches. My colleagues are here with me, Ujue J, Shola Jaisimi, and Mustafa Mohammed. The NBA election, as controversial as the last ones, at least the last 2-3 ones before now, were controversial because NBA has said we are going digital, we are going electronic voting, but it has always come with problems.
Okay, let me take it off from there. So congratulations first and foremost to Mrs. Oyinkansola Badejo Okusanya, senior advocate, like you mentioned, and someone who has also done her bit in the legal profession. Interestingly, not many may know, but I'm sure the information is already seeping out now, that she's an elder sister to the current Minister of Investment, Trade and Industry. I'm talking about, on the screen there, Jumoke Oduwole. You can see the resemblance. And even I saw the tweet put out by the minister, Dr. Oduwole, saying, "Oh, big sister, congratulations, leading your professional body of other legal minds and all of that." So a good one for women folk. And the thing is this is the first time that a lady will emerge as the leader, the president of the Nigerian Bar Association. So, yes.
Is it the first time?
Yeah, she's breaking the glass ceiling.
There are reports that Kuye...
No, the Kuye election in 1992, where the federal government of this country, under General Ibrahim Babangida, we are told, we know, we're young people then, though I got in higher institution, that they had a preferred candidate, Bashiru Dalhatu. And that conference, they scattered it eventually in Port Harcourt. So everything was upside down.
So it's not today that MBA elections...
it's not today.
You don't pay, as we say.
So that's what it is now. But the good thing is that she's breaking the glass ceiling. I'm asking ourselves a couple of questions in other professions before we go back into what she has said. Look at the Nigerian Medical Association. It has had only one female president.
NMA.
Yes, the Nigerian Medical Association, 1988.
That's the umbrella body for medical doctors.
Yes, Dr. Abiola Oshodi. The Nigerian Society of Engineers. It was just in 2024, 2 years ago, that Margaret Ogutala emerged as the first ever female president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. For ICANN, that's the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, a very good one, as far back as 1989. Bola Kufori-Jolubi had emerged. So the different professions.
But within the judiciary, women have not been left behind. Presently, the Chief Justice of Nigeria
is a lady.
The chairman of the president of the Court of Appeal,
Dr. Memsa.
A lady.
Exactly.
The DG of the Nigerian Law School.
A lady.
So for the judiciary, and we have had female justices even at the Supreme Court, dominating.
So I'm now asking us, who are media minds, we've never gotten a female president of the Nigerian Union of Journalists. So we have work to do.
The FCT chairman, that's the build-up.
Oh, beautiful.
Well, you're talking about NUJ. They have the Federation of Women Journalists, and
that's the
other wing. But we are also told professionally that in journalism you only have men, even though there are women biologically. But going back to Badejo, Senior Advocates of Nigeria, is actually a milestone. Congratulations. But I think I'm going to give her a challenge. All these law chambers that are employing young lawyers and paying them peanuts should be actually a very serious issue that she needs to consider as the chairman of the NBA. She needs to make sure that she puts a rule that all these young lawyers being employed and being paid peanuts should be paid something far above what they are receiving now. Even the minimum wage agreed by the federal government, it's not enough to, for people to take home. You are talking about when you are a practicing lawyer, you buy books, you pay transport, you rush to the court. You even see some of them jumping on Okadas. We are not saying that the law chambers should buy them cars, but they should pay them comfortably. And then a lot of people thought because of the glitches that happened, the elections would not take place. But I will congratulate the NBA for having to hold these elections.
Well, the NBA has always had these kind of controversies, battles before its election. And sometimes the women don't even get up to the final screening stage. So this is a milestone. It's a good one. At least she's been able to break that barrier. Yes, women can lead other arms of the judiciary, but when it comes to the NBA, somehow I have been perceiving a kind of discrimination against women. Shola, if you remember the one of last 2 years, even the women who were top contenders, somehow in between, they are cut off. One had one allegation last year or so, and somehow, she couldn't even make it to the final screening stage. So she must be a very strong woman, Mrs. Badejo Okusanya. She must be a very strong woman for her to get to this stage and to be able to win the presidency of the NBA. So congratulations. But what Mustafa has suggested is a very, very key one. Because it pains my heart when I see lawyers who have spent 5 years in university, after that going to the law school, and all they can do is charge and bail. They call them charge and bail lawyers. They are poorly paid. You should see what some of these chambers, even the so-called big names, pay the lawyers who work under them. Like Mustafa has said, they need a living wage, not even the minimum wage, a living wage, wages that can sustain them, and sustain their families. Let her look into that aspect of the law profession, because it's still part of it. And any other reforms as is necessary within the law profession, within her powers, she should effect it. Women are already setting serious examples. You mentioned FCT, NUJ. You can see the difference when a woman came in. Even at the National Award, you can see the difference, So let this woman teach some of the men how to run this. And we are mothers with the hearts of mothers. We are not ego-tripping. We don't ego trip. We look at issues, and with that heart of compassion, we deal with them.
Okay, maybe the men also are fathers with the heart of fathers and the spirit of sacrifice. Spirit of sacrifice. But let's go into the politics of it.
Yeah.
Whenever there is a contest, it means there's some form of milk and honey inside. When you see people fight, there's always a prize. And what is that prize in NBA? Because it didn't start today. It's been there all the years, even up to the military period. To the extent that in this contest, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice appeared to get involved when he suggested that they shift the election to enable the issue of a NIN, a national identity number, be used as part of the accreditation processes for lawyers to indeed vote. He tells you that perhaps within government, they're interested on who will emerge, not just with the NBA, with every other civil society, even when it surprises you, NUJ, Guild of Editors, Society of Engineers, there's always that. And if it doesn't come from government, it will come from elsewhere. Because what they do there, they control a lot of funds, they control a lot of finances, they control policies, they control regulations and all that. So it tells you that everybody will want to be involved. And what I'm hearing within the NBA is that there's this battle between the old guard and the emerging new guard. The old guard had always influenced who will become the NBA president, but an emerging interest now have indeed come in. And it was that young, new interest that insisted that digital electronic voting be introduced, and that the ones running the show, as it were.
When you look at the number of universities, both private and public, all over the country, you know that the new generation of lawyers are multiple in number. They are in hundreds of thousands compared to the old guard. And then Nigeria is a country where for a very long time, even in our politics, you see that the old and elderly have dominated for so long. They have this tendency and philosophy, forgive me for using the Nigerian parlance, wait for your time. But then, for how long can we continue to cage the growing generation, the leaders of the future? Let's give them opportunities so that they can implement some of their philosophies that might perhaps change the country into a better place. Of course, in the higher political offices, some young people from governors to ministers have had opportunities. Of course, they have not done well. I don't want to mention names, but I think if some of them can give us better outing in some of these associations, they can also hold political office holding and become role models for so many others to come.
Well, the new NBA president-elect, she's not actually young, because her younger sister is 53 this year. I'm talking about Jumoke Oduwole herself. And from what I can remember, there's another sister in between them. So, if someone is in the mid-50s, if Jumoke is 53, if she is 55 or 56, that's not really young.
Young in context here.
No,
think about it. When I say the old guard, there are some senior advocates that are in their 80s, 90s, that are still active,
and they are still holding forth,
and still wield influence within the profession.
The legal profession is quite dynamic. I have a younger sister who is 23 years at the bar, and where she's not. There are two people in between us. So of course, if I see someone like that, I say, hey, my beloved younger learned sister. But the fact is this: if there are persons who have been in the corridors of the NBA as dons, that's what Alpha Mosigwe is trying to change. This, gentle young man as well, he will be in October, will be 54. He is saying, look, let's open this thing, let other people also have the opportunity to serve our professional body. And one thing, I kept looking at the NBA for years. I remember, as a young boy, when Alao Akabashonu, in the 80s, those were not senior advocates, but those were people that made sure the NBA stood up to the government.
Yes.
And I give Alpha Mosigwe thumbs up for what he has done.
Not only him, there are about 3 of them.
Yes. When this issue around
the MD under him was not afraid to take position.
Yes, they took position.
In line with public interest.
And in the interest of the Nigerian people. Yes. And when he stood up to the Lateef Fagbemi, the auditor, what's his name? Attorney General. I said, this is what it should be. Because the Attorney General of this country was trying to act like as if he had powers over the NBA. You don't have any powers over the NBA. The NBA has its constitution. You can only be someone who encourages them. So suspend the election. On what grounds? And thank God he took his stand. I'm talking about Alpha Mosigwe and said, you can't direct us. We run this association. So the vibrancy of the NBA is what we should be also encouraging Mrs.
And not just the NBA, the vibrancy of key civil society organizations
and professional
once you allow government interests, they become like the National Assembly, which has moved from rubber stamp to a photocopy. And when these institutions and structures of government that counter the government, not in a way to fight them, but to get a better order, once they are dominated, then you have not a democracy but a dictatorial civilian regime.
Let's say that Alpha Mosigwe and his group of young men, when I say young, maybe late 40s, early 50s, have brought a new breath of air to the NBA. Even he didn't have it easy when he contested. It was really, really a very strong battle. I know what it took him for him to emerge as the president, when he did. And the young ones, so to say, stood by him. Although they edged out some of the female contestants, which I was not too happy about, but he emerged. So he knows what he went through before getting to this stage. And that's why when you fight to get something meritoriously, then you can stand up and challenge the powers that be if they are getting out
of line.
Yes, out of line. Back to line. Yes, you whip them back to line. And that's the kind of thing that we need even in the CSOs, in the other professional bodies. Let's elect people who can stand up and tell meddlesome officials, government officials who want to intervene unnecessarily.
But that's the problem.
To park their car on their own side and allow
with the National Assembly.
Yes,
when the executive determines who becomes the speaker, becomes the Senate president, then
majority
can
leader
just look the other way and say this one is gone.
But that's what you're seeing. You said they have moved from rubber stamp to photocopy. You can see that the vibrancy of the National Assembly has been whittled, far whittled, and from the Ninth Assembly especially, because they fought to the 7th Assembly, They tried to, particularly the 4th Assembly has been the most vibrant under Gali Naaba and, tough people, and then late Chuba Okadibo that will look at the president and tell him, Mr. President, you can't take 5 people from a state as ambassadors and give these people 1 and 2. No, we do it 3 per state. And it was like that. So he was able to stand up to President Olusegun Obasanjo at that time because he knew how he emerged. When you emerge meritoriously, you can stand and say no to a whole lot of things that are not right. I think also that with particular reference to the NBA, they should try as much as possible to ensure that the right persons come in. And in coming in, it is not to totally exclude the old guard. The old guard have their experience. They have their wisdom. They can guide the young ones.
They should be supplying from the background.
Don't say that. Yes, maybe from the background, but they should also be given their due respect. But at the same time, let them allow the young ones to do what should be done because they have the energy, they have the stamina. But at the same time, you can't say that 50-something is also that young.
You see, you spoke about how docile the National Assembly has become. But I can predict that the next National Assembly can even be worse than this one. Because you know what happened during the primary? The governors
from the 9th
push out people whom they felt are independent-minded. In the name of screening, they put their yes sir men and women. And you know exactly what will happen when they come to the House. Whenever there's something they need to contribute or motion or bill they are going to push, they have to look back over their shoulders.
They have to take instructions
from the governors.
Yes.
And that even makes it worse.
So that's why these days, you can't meet a lawmaker in the corridor like we used to do in those days and want an interview and he will give it to you. He will have to go and clear first.
Now they have to clear.
They have to clear.
Just a few of them that you can call and invite for an interview and they readily respond. Many of them now, they will tell you, okay, I'll get back to you. They start calling the speaker, office of the Senate President, getting an authorization to come and speak to the
governors on issues.
Yes, that's another level.
In those days, on the corridor, in the lobby there, you can meet a lawmaker and interview the lawmaker.
And walk away.
These days, you invite 100 of them, only about 3 or 4 will be willing to.
Who are independent-minded.
Well, are we surprised? The members of the executive arm of government, they hold the yam and they're holding the knife. With regards to how members of the legislative branch emerge, either getting even the ticket to run on the platform of a political party, or when you even get into the, as a member-elect or a senator-elect, your aspirations. Because if we have scenarios where the heads of the legislature, either the speaker or the Senate president, say anything the president wants, he has to get, the head of an executive branch. So what else do we expect? Until we see scenarios where, without being adversarial, because it's not about but just on principles of public interest, you can disagree. But I'm also going to remind us that the current place, the place where we copied this presidential stand from, America, we've known of disagreements between the president and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. But in this current dispensation, Mike Johnson and Donald Trump are on the same bed. And Mike Johnson also says it that anything the president wants, we need to give to him. So I'm going back to where we copied it from to remind us that these things happen. That doesn't mean that Mike Johnson is a lackey to Donald Trump, but just the ideals that join them together, the Republican Party must have supremacy. And I think Mike Johnson and Trump align
there's
with that.
need for party unity, and we can't take it away. Party interest, we can't wish it away. But when it overrides
national interest,
that's the problem. Now, they know where to draw this partisanship, where to draw the line. But unfortunately, we don't know where to draw our own line. We really run it through, and we wouldn't know when it has fallen off the cliff, as it were. So party loyalty is there, it plays out in democracy, but when overall national interest, overall public interest is up and running, that other interest should be subsumed. Now we are talking of issues of nominations. We told you political parties are currently uploading names of candidates for governorship, deputy governorship, and state houses of assembly members. That's coming after the first phase has been completed, that of the president, vice president, and National Assembly members. We will have a guest to join us and offer perspective. That will be after this break. To stay with us.
Good news for eligible Nigerian citizens. The ongoing continuous voter registration exercise has been extended to Sunday, the 26th of July, 2026, giving you more time to register.
The easiest part, starting from Wednesday, 8th July, you can start and complete your registration online using your phones, tablets, or smart devices.
Your fingerprint and photograph can now be captured online. Just visit cvr.inecnigeria.org to register.
Remember, the physical registration option is still available at all INEC states, local government offices, and designated centers.
No more excuses. Don't wait till the last minute. Register today.
This message is brought to you by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, making your vote count, consolidating our democracy.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT on air, online, online.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Barrister Kenna Sogwa is the National Public Secretary of Labour Party. Joins us now for perspectives on uploading of names by political parties, names of governorship, deputy governorship candidates, as well as those of state houses of assembly. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Amechi, and thank you to the rest of the crew.
We were told that INEC, in fact, we knew INEC was forced to extend the period for upload of names of presidential, vice presidential, and National Assembly members because some parties were dilly-dallying. Perhaps they didn't understand what was happening. Is Labour Party one of them? Let's go into this with that. And how did it play out, that first set that just got concluded?
Thank you so much. I'll come in there. But before I come in, please permit me to talk about just a little line on the NBA election that you talked about. Yes, that's
Did
my
you vote?
That's my
Did
primary
you vote?
constituency.
Did you vote?
Well, is an information that I want to keep to my chest. But there's something you guys talked about. You stood up for the young lawyers. And I want to use this opportunity to urge the senior lawyers to just listen to what you guys have said. The truth is that so many lawyers are being underpaid. And like you said, someone who has spent 5 years in university, spent another 1 year in the law school, and another additional year for NYS, 7 years running this program, it's quite disheartening what they pass through. I can't consider myself a young lawyer anymore. I'm 20 years post-call this year. But that doesn't leave the fact that vacuum is there. So many lawyers are not even being paid up to the minimum wage, which is 70,000, even when we know that 70,000 can't even buy a bag of rice in Nigeria today. And when I say this, it is actually so bad that even so many senior advocates engage in this. And if you know how much they charge clients, you understand that this is a wake-up call for them. So coming into what you asked me, yes, a lot of political parties experienced challenges during the upload of the presidential and the National Assembly candidates. We did not per se experience so many of those challenges, but there was one that we experienced that was quite not peculiar to Labour Party. It was almost all the political parties experienced it. You know that after the primaries, INEC had the lists of the candidates that emerged from that process. And they took, because every political party submitted what transpired at the primaries to INEC. So INEC had their own list and uploaded it in their portal. So when you're trying to upload your own name and it doesn't tally with what INEC has, the system automatically rejects it. But sometimes the name you might be trying to upload is something that INEC has, but because of the order in which the names are written, the system has a way of rejecting it. For example, your name is Amechi Anakwe, and I try, maybe in the form you feel that party is trying to upload, we are trying to upload Anakwe Amechi. And INEC went with Amechi Anakwe. When you try to do that, the system rejects it. So when a lot of political parties started complaining, INEC advised us to invert the names. So when you do that, it goes. So we had so many hiccups a lot of political parties experienced. And it took us so many days before we were able to realize that that was the problem. So it was on that note that a lot of people complained to them and they decided to shift the date from 11 to 14.
Are you quite certain about what you've just said? Because I know a particular case in Oyo State, the ADC in Oyo State, ADC. And then INEC witnessed the primaries. Of course, there are two factions in Oyo State. I don't know if you're one of them. One led by the former governor of Osun State, Aregbesola, and of course, the David Mark led. Now, INEC witnessed the primaries conducted by the national office led by David Mark. But that is not what has been uploaded. So the INEC portal is not rejecting the names and the names of the people whose primary they did not witness. So how would you explain that?
Well, I'm not a member of the ADC. I speak for the Labour Party, so I may not be aware of what transpired within their own primaries. But I'm telling you that, and we, in our own case, we did not experience any issue of substitution, wrongful substitution of candidates that emerged from our own process. So if that happened before, maybe within the ranks of the ADC, I may not really be able to speak about it. But like I said here, INEC already had the list of the people that emerged from the primary processes that
maybe
took place.
Of Labour Party, because you said and the other parties.
I understand that some political parties substituted candidates' names that emerged. There were those allegations are rife, but it didn't happen in our own case, ostensibly because
from your knowledge, though you're not a member of those parties, how did INEC resolve those differences?
Well, I may not be able to speak to how INEC resolved them, but I am aware that INEC insisted that if you did not participate in the primary, that your name will not be on their portal. So I may not speak to how they resolved it, but all I know is that I know that there is an allegation that so many political parties substituted names of persons who won election. And it's somehow, and this is not even peculiar to the ruling party. I've said this a number of times, that we in the opposition should be bringing something different from what the APC does. If we are claiming that APC is not doing things right, then we shouldn't be found wanting in that regard too. I understood in 2023, or 2022 rather, when certain persons who are now in the Senate, there was allegation that they contested for president and they didn't participate in the primaries.
You're talking about Senator Ahmed Lawa?
And the current Senate president. And there were allegations that they didn't participate in the primaries that eventually emerged. And the thing, there were hues and cries over that. But today, we in the opposition, a lot of political parties are indulging in this. And if you're saying that the APC is not doing things right, then we should be able to live above board at least.
Give the people a difference. But again, I mean, just to be very, very sure, not that we don't know what the Electoral Act says. If INEC did not observe a primary exercise, how valid would that primary be?
Well, if you met all the requirements for your primaries as stated in the Electoral Act, and INEC decides not to observe that, then it's a valid primary. We experience that.
No. I mean, a primary that is conducted and INEC did not
observe it.
Yes,
that's what I'm saying.
Not because there's any controversy or
no,
anything.
INEC Electoral Act
like
requires
those who conduct a parallel primary. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know about parallel primary indicates it indicates that there is a split in the party, the leadership of the party. And that's not what I'm addressing.
Okay.
What I'm addressing is if a political party met all the requirements for conduct of primary, you wrote to INEC within the time frame that the Electoral Act requires you to write to them, and on the day of the primaries, INEC decides on their own not to attend it. It doesn't invalidate that primary election. You have met the requirements of the Electoral Act. But in a case where there is a controversy over who the leadership is, the Wood faction. So it's a matter of law that no one else can sit down and decide who the appropriate leadership or which one INEC. I think it's something that the law, INEC should be guided by, because I'm sure most of those cases are in court.
If INEC observed the one of one faction and did not observe the other one, who produces the list? No, I don't know why I'm asking.
You know, I'm very sure that when INEC decides to observe one primary election against the other, they are minded by what some legal advice. Maybe there is a court judgment in favor of one party that enable them to upload their name in their portal against the other. So for me, it's a matter of law as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, so Mustafa, I have a question here.
Definitely. Going back to the issues of primaries, in the past, the political parties have done what they wanted to do, like APC screening out viable contestants and what have you. And with the content, in the light of the content of the Electoral Act, as a lawyer, do you think those who were, screened out can still challenge that action of the state governments?
Wait, when APC did their primaries, some aspirants were screened out.
Yes. Can it be challenged in courts?
Well, yes. It depends on every screening process has its own peculiarity. So if you met all the requirements that your party set for you to be a candidate, and someone just arbitrarily screens you out without any valid reason.
Because he doesn't like your face.
Because he doesn't like your face. Of course, it is something, because if a party sets its rules, you are mandated to abide by your own rules. Every political party primary has guidelines. Political parties issue guidelines for conduct of primaries. And those guidelines include what candidate must produce to be eligible to be screened. Now, if you met all that and someone just says you are screened out just because he doesn't like your face, then you have a valid reason to litigate upon that.
Now, another issue flowing from this is the powers of the political party to substitute names. Now, we expect cases in court. Perhaps when INEC publishes the names, which will come after the upload of names, that's when they will now, based on pre-election matter, illegal substitution and other, go to court. Where does the power of a political party ends to unilaterally substitute name? Because you mentioned about the guidelines and established rules for parties, which sometimes they violate in carrying out these substitutions.
Political party does not have powers to just substitute names of candidates arbitrarily. When a candidate dies or withdraws or says, I'm no longer contesting, then because that candidate, for you to upload that name and INEC accept it, that candidate must have met the requirements of the requirement that the party sets for emergence of their candidates. Now, if that candidate met all the requirements and you uploaded that name on INEC portal, it is a given that that candidate is your candidate. The party does not have powers to withdraw that.
No, I mean, because there are some cases now that some aspirants are saying they won, but parties will upload a different name.
Then you have a right to challenge that, because if you've conducted primaries as a political party, you are mandated to abide by the outcome of that primary. You don't conduct primary and Mr. A wins and Mr. B's name is uploaded. For me, it shouldn't be the case.
Now, as you mentioned this, it should not be the case. There's one that was brought to my notice not about last week, and in one of the federal constituencies in Ondo State. And the person who spoke to me was saying, look at this young man, of course in quotes, won the primaries. The results are there. But that Mr. A, Mr. B are saying Villa don't like him becoming the candidate
Allegedly.
of the party. Allegedly, anyway. They don't want him and so and so. And I said, look, if this individual who won on the field is dissatisfied, let him come to the media and state his case. And the man
Or
said,
go to court.
The
Court of
gentleman
law.
who got in touch said, that the party will finish him, they will shred him, they will look for anything against him too. So this aspect of victimization, how should it be resolved? If people are aggrieved about a process, should they just keep mute and say, okay, party supremacy?
You know, no political party wants the members to take them to court. That is the truth. It somehow looks like insubordination. But the truth is that you cannot run a political party like a cult where people don't have the freedom to exercise, to aspire. Thank you. You understand? So
Most rules and constitutional parties said you must exhaust internal party mechanisms.
And
it's only when it feels that you now
go to court. But you know, sometimes it is the same internal party mechanism that is skewed against you. So for me, like you said here about the particular instances cited, you see, I understand how the person might feel that he is in a ruling party where the man who
the powers that be,
the man who, using your word, the man who has the yam and the knife, you know. So he might feel, maybe in his own case, he feels that when he overtly goes out there to challenge that decision, he might find himself in the wrong books of the powers that be. But the right thing has to be done, like I keep saying here. If a party has set its guidelines, they have gone to primaries, and someone has emerged the winner, that party is mandated, whether the leaders of the party like the face of the person who won or not. It's obligated to submit the person's name to INEC, and is not allowed to arbitrarily remove the name except through substitution that is allowed by INEC. By electoral.
Tell us, this upload of governorship, deputy governorship, and state houses of assembly, how has it been going?
It just began on Saturday, and for us in the Labour Party, it's been going on seamlessly very well. Just like I told you, the challenge we had with the presidential, we've been able to learn. So we are, in this particular instance, we're not having any of those challenges that we experienced in the wake of the last one. So it's going on well.
So you've uploaded the name of your presidential candidate?
Yes.
Okay, and that is
Dr. Chibuzo Okereke.
Okay, good. So
and right now we're uploading the names of the governorship candidates and the House of Assembly members. And I am the deputy governorship candidate of Enugu State.
Well, it's good you throw your hat into the ring. You're not just administering the party, giving legal advice, but also trying to get into political office. I want to ask you this basic question. The Labour Party. I remember 2021, 2022, 2023. LP. Who's the LUP? This LP, this dispensation. What are the options for your party? Talking about the big race, the big one.
You see, there is something I need you to just give me a little time to explain here. In the build-up to 2023 election, we looked very big from outside. People looked at us as a very big political party because of the fact that we had a presidential candidate that Nigerians accepted. But structurally, we were weak inside. In going into that election, the other two political parties at the time, PDP and APC, they taunted us that we didn't have structure. And but then presidential candidate had a way of, writing off that. But the truth is that we had a structural problem that cost us that election. Even when we claimed to have won, we went to court. We litigated up to Supreme Court.
Correct.
And we were not able to substantiate our claims. Now,
They
the
say you
reason
didn't even have a
polling booth agents
in most of
in more than 70% of the polling booths in Nigeria, we have about 189,000 polling units in Nigeria. Labour Party did not have polling unit agents in more than 70% of the polling units in Nigeria.
But your party has been associated with the regional, ethnic, tribal. How has that changed over time?
No, you mean the Labour Party?
Yes.
No. I will come to that, but that is a wrong perception. But let me deal with this so that I don't lose my
traction.
So now we lost that election. Like I said, we claimed to have won, and I believe, although the Supreme Court has said that we did not win. So if I go to reinforce that our own claim now, it might look like it's a contempt of court. But we claimed to have won, and we didn't win. The reason was because we lacked the structure, and that structure we lacked was why we could not produce polling unit agents. Now our then presidential candidate was deceived by the then leadership of the party, led by Julius Abure, into believing that there was a structure in place, that we were going to produce polling unit agents. On election day, on the day of reckoning, we couldn't. We lost that election. Now,
were funds made available for that purpose?
I don't want to speak to that. So
we need to know. If there were promises, that means there were plans and there were funds.
The reason I don't want to speak to that is that there have been so many persons dropping snippets of such allegations that I don't want to reinforce. But when Senator Nenadu Usman came on board, she went into drawing board to understand why the current chairman of the Labour Party, what cost us that victory. And we realized that the greatest strength that the Labour Party has is the institutional membership it has in NLC and the TUC.
So you're still
So our party is so unique a political party that we have institutional membership. This is the only political party in Nigeria that has that. And there is no polling unit area in Nigeria that doesn't have either a retired civil servant or a serving one. NLC and TUC, they came cap in hand, begging for their members to be used as polling unit agents in 2023. The then leadership, because of the money he was expecting to be released to them to pay party agents,
which is normally
sure. So they rebuffed the entreaties made by the labor unions, and we couldn't produce agents. Now we've gone to marry them now, and like I told you, every civil servant in Nigeria is technically a member of the Labour Party, but we never raised that consciousness in them when the former leadership was there. But now they are aware. So the biggest structured political party in Nigeria remains the Labour Party.
Have you answered my question?
No,
we're really out of time. Okay, quickly, are you a regional or ethnic-based party?
No. You see, in a straight answer to your question,
yes,
we are neither regional or ethnic-based political party. Labour Party today is led by Senator Nenadu Usman, a northerner from Kaduna State. And in short, as a matter of fact, in this 2027 election, Labour Party is gaining more traction in the north today than in the south. Even when we have a sitting governor in Abia State.
There's this insinuation, we can't ignore it, that initially we heard that Labour Party will not be fielding a presidential candidate. At one point, did you decide to field one?
Well, and there was never a time we said that we were not going to field a presidential candidate. We only said, the only public announcement we've ever made about the presidential candidate is that we zoned it to the south. So what you heard in the rumor mills is not, didn't emanate from.
So you're not aligned to either the government, we have under the table deal, support me during presidential.
I am not aware of that.
Like APGA is doing.
I don't know about APGA. APGA has come out publicly to say they were not fielding a presidential candidate. So I am a member of the National Working Committee of this party. So if there is any deal reached anywhere,
so
at least I should be aware. And so nothing of that nature.
Thank you so much, Barrister Kenna Asogwa.
Thank you.
National Public Secretary of Labour Party, for joining us today. It's time for us to hear from you as we share the email you have sent to our email platform on our feedback segment, Citizens Perspective.
Our first letter comes from Amechi Obochi from Kubwa, Abuja. It says, reports circulating in the media claim that Tinubu's administration has spent over 11.9 trillion naira on what it describes as energy security expenses, saying the funds were used to ensure Nigerians have access to fuel and other energy products. What is this energy security expenses, if you may ask? Anyway, we should all remember that President Tinubu announced the removal of fuel subsidy immediately after assuming office. It is therefore puzzling to hear that such a huge amount has been spent under the banner of energy security. It is worth recalling that former President Buhari's administration reportedly spent about 11 trillion naira on fuel subsidies over 8 years, during which petrol was sold for about 187 naira per litre. Today, Nigerians are paying over 1,300 naira per litre, yet reports indicate that more than 11.9 trillion naira has been spent on energy security in just 2 years. If these figures are accurate, Nigerians deserve a clear explanation of what the expenditure covers, how the funds were utilized, and how the spending has translated into better energy access and affordability for citizens. Next is from Emeka Mba from Abuja. It says it was the former president, late Muhammadu Buhari, that said, if we don't kill corruption, it will kill Nigeria. Unfortunately, it's his chief law officer, Abubakar Malami, and some other employees of his that are standing trial for corruption, with EFCC securing final forfeiture of a whopping 48 properties linked to the former Attorney General and Minister of Justice. Recall that the Accountant General of the Federation under late former President Buhari has a corruption case of over 100 billion naira, which is moving at snail speed, and the man is busy enjoying the alleged loot. The same goes for the former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello. The way the corruption fight is going on in this country is not serious at all. If what is done in China and Dubai is taken into consideration. The only time there was what looks like fight against corruption was when Malam Nuhu Ribadu was Nigeria's anti-corruption czar. But unfortunately, he now works for, and with those he was on their trail, investigated and told us then were the most corrupt in the country as National Security Advisor. This life no balance at all, like we say in our local parlance.
Omolayo John has written in from Orozo. Orozo is here in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. It baffled me when the police arrested the father of embattled said fake DG of the PFIPC, that's the Presidential Foreign Investment Promotion Commission or Council, Adeni Adeyemi. How does one lose liberty for another's offense? Substituted arrest to compel and coerce the father while the son is already standing trial? Now, wow. Has forensic examination been taken on Honorable Baja's signature? Who allocated the office space? Who padded the budget for the fake agency? God bless Nigeria. That's what Omolayo John
From
said.
our YouTube channel, Rapper Abuja, Titi Philelems is saying, as for me, the composition of this current National Assembly is just existing to fulfill all righteousness. But this is a great disservice to Nigerians. The football field says, outside imposing leaders at all levels from Homs to Aso Rock, what else have Tinubu achieved in Nigeria since 2023? Kayode Fabemi says lawyers are poorly paid because we produce more lawyers than we need. When supply is more than demand, the price falls. MBA should determine the number of lawyers required, ensuring no overproduction. Forces of demand and supply. Whether we even have enough in the first place, shouldn't we expand the economy to accommodate all that we have? But that's it. Much we can take on today's edition of the program. Thank you so much for joining us on behalf of my colleagues. My name is Amechi Anakwe. Have a good day.